Lovers Quarrel. It's a long, sustained quarrel.
What's going on, world?
Hey, everybody.
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
And it's your girl, Dani, your amazingly achy albatross.
What's an albatross? That's a bird with long arms.
It is a bird, yes. Don't even try to call me a bird. That's what
Listen, you called yourself a bird. I didn't have to do that.
Exactly, because I reserve the right to do so.
Exactly.
And it's my alliteration.
You got it.
So,
you got a black woman.
Anyway, welcome to yet another episode of Lovers Quarrel. As always, if this is your first time listening, welcome. If this is your second time listening, welcome back. And if this is your third or more time listening, then you are family, or as TJ likes to say,
you're a lover.
So,
shout out to all my lovers out there.
And hello, everyone, again. We have a special guest.
Yes.
And so we have...
You can introduce him now.
I am. Okay.
I'm just saying, I know how you get down sometimes. This is my fault.
I'm going
to let you run the point.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Let me do what I do well. Thank you. So we have Orlando Roye of the Hard or Soft Pod, of 5-Star Gains, of Hello White People, of Beyond the Bar. We have him here with us today. Thank you, Orlando, for joining us.
He's also like the manager for So Shameless, like whenever they travel and live shows.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He got a lot of hats.
Apologies. Your resume is long. Forgive me. But thank you for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And we are so glad to have you on. So, of course, as always, we're going to get into our regular rundown. But when you hear Orlando chime in, now you know who it is. And please feel free to give us your 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent on anything that we are discussing and be prepared to share. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our elevator. So are you going to go first? Or am I going to go first?
I can go first.
Okay. Are you going up or down?
We're going to go up.
All right.
You know, positivity.
Okay.
Make sure your voice isn't trash this week. Go ahead.
All right. Going up.
Oh, that was good.
All right.
That's because you knew I was going first. That's why.
Whatever.
Listen, NBA playoffs is starting. I'm excited. Let's go Lakers. That's all I got to say.
I heard that the Trailblazers is like a threat, though.
Dame Dollar is a problem.
Okay.
But he can't beat us. It's just... So, listen... The competitive side of me loves it because we're going to crack them. But also, I'm kind of like, it's a different... Like, if we'd seen Memphis, we'd have ran through Memphis. Portland may be able to win a game or two. Doesn't mean that they'll beat us. But, you know, it's easier just to kind of have that, like... It'll be easier just to run through them and rust.
How many more games are left?
What do you mean? It's a 7-game series.
Oh, this is like about to be it. Like
it's the playoffs.
Like the finals or the playoffs?
The playoffs, like the beginning of the playoffs.
Oh, we haven't even got to the playoffs yet? Oh, no. I thought this was the playoffs.
No.
Since they started in the bubble.
They had to play first.
So they had to finish a couple of regular season games to get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
To get to the finals.
So with Portland was like number 9. But they won enough games that they were able to go ahead of Memphis. But because Memphis had the 8th seed, they had to do a play-in. But Memphis, a lot of their players are injured, so they really didn't have a chance.
I don't even understand it.
So I'm a LeBron James fan that much, at least. Like,
so what they were doing is they gave the 18, so the 16 teams that were on the playoffs, they got in, and then so on the East side, what they did was the Wizards had an opportunity, so that's why the Wizards played, but they don't have nobody, so they really didn't have a shot. But in the West, it was so many teams who was close enough, so that's why San Antonio, Sacramento, Phoenix, Portland, and I want to say like maybe it was one more team, or maybe those were the 4 teams, but they had to play to be able. The Suns, yeah. So they had to play to be able to. They had to play to be able to get into the playing game. Memphis didn't do well enough, so that's why Portland wound up taking over the 8th spot. So because it was Portland and Memphis was right there, they had to do the playing game. So if Memphis would have won 2 games, Memphis would have gone to the playoffs.
I remember Eric telling me that yesterday. So.
But because Portland had the 8th seed, all they had to do was win once, and they beat them. Shout out to Melo for hitting that three.
Okay.
So it's like playing the regular season, but they played to see like who would lose enough games to be eliminated.
Exactly.
But only with the teams that were able to qualify instead of playing with a full schedule.
Exactly. So only the top 7 teams were like pretty well. The way I look at it, the top 7 teams were guaranteed. That 8th spot, it was open. So because Portland was playing so well, like Portland played well, Phoenix went 8-0, Nobody expected that, but they played well enough, but it just wasn't record-wise. They just couldn't get it. So the play-in, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like they do that in soccer or one of those other sports. So they may add it going forward.
Yeah.
This is fascinating.
You're being so facetious right now.
I would also want the Lakers to win because I want LeBron James to win. So go team, go.
I'm so through with you.
But is that your elevator?
Yes.
I'm happy for you.
No.
Because you're happy. When you're happy, I'm happy. Anyway, I'm going to continue to go up on this elevator. And so you guys know that, those of you who listen in Orlando, I'm updating you. We moved at actually like the top of quarantine. So like back in March. But we decided to retain ownership of the townhouse. Like we moved into our forever home, but now we still had a townhouse out here in Baltimore that we wanted to try our hand at renting. And as of this coming Saturday, we will have a tenant moved in, and that is like it's been a big box on our to-do list that we had to check off. From like getting things like, and it's amazing with like we have 1 3-year-old and yet she has so much shit. And we had to spent this weekend bringing a lot of that stuff over and just to make it clearing out the last of our things to make space for this tenant. And so I'm just excited because it's like the start of a new chapter. We found someone that we really like and we're doing well and it's a win-win, knock on wood and prayerfully for everybody. So I'm just excited for this new section to begin because if this goes well, then, now it's like an income, situation. So.
Oh, this black goals.
Listen, we over here trying. We trying.
Yeah.
But that's it. I'm keeping it cute and short this week because, you like to say I talk too much anyway.
I didn't say anything.
Orlando, do you have anything that's on your spirit that we can go down or we can go up? I know you've had, whatever, if anything is on your spirit right now.
Well, my elevator is going back up, and in the elevator is my mental health. I had a very long week. It's been a lot of good. It's just that the cons are outweighing the pros. What really, I guess, made it even worse was like not last night but 3 days prior. I think I slept a total of 10 hours over the 3 days.
Oh, Lord.
So I used, not last night, but the night before, I used that to sleep for like 7 days straight. And I slept for another 2 hours at work, for like another 3 hours when I got home, and then like another 9 hours last night. So I'm like refreshed.
Good.
My mind is like flowing. I have like so much content that I want to put out that I've been like trying. So yeah, I'm getting better. And there's good days and bad days every day, but it's just on the up and up.
Absolutely. Shout out to rest because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of sleep. And, I do not subscribe to like, I'll sleep when I'm dead and all the other stuff philosophy. Like, no, like I'm no good to anybody when I'm not rested because I'm just kind of like a cranky bitch. And it's just like.
Oh, that's only when you aren't rested?
When.
Go ahead.
He tries, girl.
He does a lot, and he's got a lot of nerve because
I'm just asking a question.
He's mad, emo, like he lives in his feelings because first of all, because you were trying to come for cancers, and clearly you're a Pisces, so you're also a water sign.
God.
So you
Whoa. We're not gonna do that.
Thank you. And he's real talk. He's a Pisces Aries cusp. So
there's so much emotions in that house.
So many feelings.
I'll be regular for you. For the most part.
You a black ass liar.
That's crazy. Okay.
Listen.
Anyway, it's not about me.
It's not.
You're right.
It's not about you ever.
You got an emotional and a crier in one house. That's wild.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the kid? What sign is the kid?
She's an Aries.
Oh, God.
Fire sign.
Oh, my God.
Fiercely independent Aries. So, but you know what? It's funny. My sister's an Aries. They're 3 days apart. So I really kind of like real talk gave birth to my sister. So I'm kind of like not unfamiliar with what I'm dealing with her. But again, keep us lifted because, you got two emotional people with like a little person who's like emotional 1 second and then over it the next. But yeah. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into our relationship tip of the week. So would you like me to go first, or would you like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So our relationship tip goes out to the parents. And I want to say, empower your children to be able to communicate with you. We have a 3-year-old, and she will tell us if her feelings are hurt. She will tell you if you hurt her feelings. She will tell you if you made her angry.
Or disappointed.
So, again, at 3 years old, even, sometimes it's cute, sometimes it's funny, but, we've allowed her to really have her feelings. So, as couples, me and Dani, we argue. It happens. And as you said earlier, she's a Cancer, so she's a crier. So when Dani's angry, sometimes she cries. But being mindful of that, right? Our daughter saw it and she did not like it, and she brought it to our attention at 3 years old. And it's different. So originally she brought it to Dani's mother. So, and then it's like, okay, but then she still brought it up when her mommy and daddy was there. So while it's disheartening to hear, because you try to shield your children from as much stuff, it was also kind of a happy moment, because for me it's like, at least she can express her feelings regardless. Like, it wasn't like, well, mommy and daddy's there, so I'm not going to say nothing. It was like, no, I didn't like this. So, and so to that, my tips is kind of twofold. It's like, allow your kids to be communicative, but also be mindful of what you expose your kids to. So.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. And my relationship tip for the week is kind of like a general one for all the ships, for friendships, kinships, relationships, marriage, whatever. And it's actually something I got from my therapist from our session on Friday. And really is to be like mindful of like your self-sacrificing sequence. Let's say that 5 times fast. And so kind of like what she was kind of getting at was, essentially what it boils down to is you have to, you want to, in relationships with others, family, friends, romantic, you want to make sure that you're being, there are times where you want to you sacrifice, which is like, it's something that you don't want to do, or something that doesn't serve you or something like that. And you're doing that for the betterment of the other person, but that it shouldn't be like, that's where you live in the things that you do and you engage with that person. Like, you want to make sure that you are, not suffering in the act of like always being like trying to like sacrifice for others. And so, which really what it boils down to was, she kind of read me a little bit and she was kind of like, Dani, stop doing shit that you don't want to do. And if you're going to do it, because if you're doing it and you're sacrificing, or you're doing it and you're like, or you're suffering, she's like, stop doing things that you don't want to do. And if you are going to make the choice to do it, then she's like, you can't complain about it all the time, or like be resentful, because then you're going to grow resentful. So she was like, you kind of either have to start setting those boundaries, or she's like, you got to be a cheerful giver. Like, if you're going to sacrifice, if you're going to do things that that are either out of your scope of like comfort, or because you like, it's just something that you don't like, or you don't feel like it's fair, then say so. And then, because like you're following the same sequence of things where like you're not setting appropriate boundaries, you're not, you're making excuses, you're doing these other things. And so she was like, and if you're going to choose to do those things, even though you don't want to, then don't be mad about it, or like, be glad to do it, right? Because when we're trying to be of service to others, or we're trying to help others out when we're not the ones benefiting, like, then you need to like own up to it and like don't complain about it, because ultimately it does come down to like it being a choice, especially at our big age. Now, even at my big age of 33, I still have to like practice what I preach, or what she preached really, and stick to it. But it, and we know it's easier said than done sometimes, especially like the people that we're closest with in our families, romance or friendships are sometimes the people we give and give and give, or we sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice, even though sometimes we know it's not what we want to do. We're muttering about it or complaining about it. And it's like, you really could say no. Like, you could say, no, I don't. And I'm also learning too, like, no is a complete sentence. And so sometimes you don't have to justify why, like, or just not wanting to do it because you don't feel like it is, not all the time, but some of the time is valid enough. It was like, I don't have the space.
But you also, to that point, we don't have to tell someone why we don't want to do something. Like,
we don't.
We could just say no.
Normalize it.
Yeah.
We could just say
but
no.
in our closest relationships, like I feel like with you, with like my family, with certain people, like some of my friends, like I feel like because of the level or the intensity of our relationship, I feel like we default sometimes, or I'll speak for myself, I default to like feeling like I need to also justify it, like, well, this person deserves an explanation, but
because once you start justifying it, now that person can then take your justification and be like, well, that's not even a good enough reason, so that's why you could just say no. Nope.
Okay. Does that apply to you?
And that's also where your boundaries come in.
Yes,
So
and I need
you should have the boundary to say, and the freedom to say, I don't want to explain, I just don't want to do this. And that's the end of it.
Yeah, so that is something I'm working on, and that's why I'm sharing that wealth with the listening population, because I really do. And I like my therapist, she has an Instagram page, and so she had like a really like a little sequence too, like kind of breaking it down. But I think I'll like share it in the show notes where you can find it. But it was like, it really kind of like struck a nerve, and I felt like I should share that with folks because I think in many ways I do feel like I'm in good company. Like I'm definitely not the only person that struggles with this, and I will keep that in mind.
No, definitely. And I think that's why Orlando said normalizing it. Like it's a lot of stuff that I would say our generation and probably the younger generations is going to normalize that hasn't been normalized. So like, it's okay to normalize that, like mental health. We're normalizing mental health. Like,
yes.
Whereas other people call it crazy, we're saying no, that they're not crazy. They're going through something, and how can we help? You know what I mean? Like we're truly changing the dynamic of how were raised and what the social norms were.
Definitely.
And interact.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that listens to the show knows that I'm like, everybody go to therapy. I don't care what it is. Like, everybody should go to therapy. Every single soul on the planet. The same way you should go to the dentist and the doctor and everything. Go to the therapist, because like we all got our shit. Like we all got our shit. Even in the best case scenarios, we still got lots of shit to unpack, right?
Right.
So with that said, is there any bit of our advice that you identify with, or that you got something that you want to throw in?
Oh yeah. Let me see. This one we spoke about on a podcast. It was the episode with Hard or Soft with Mouse Jones, and it's that forgiveness isn't transactional. Just because I may have done something to hurt you doesn't mean that you have a past to hurt me back, and then I should just forgive you on top, just off rip. That doesn't help anybody in the situation, because we don't get to go through the due process and really heal. It's not an overnight thing. It's like a process when it comes to forgiving someone. And more times than none, just because I hurt you, you hurt me back, and then I just say, okay, I forgive you. We don't truly actually forgive that person. And we're just letting it go because we felt like, they hurt us. But all that does is just add up the hurt, instead of dissipating it little by little by going through the due process. So if you are upset, if you are sad, you need to communicate that, and that it's going to take some time, and that you shouldn't just be out here forgiving people just because they forgave you before. That is how they forgive. That is their due process, but you need to do your own for your own healing and for your own betterment.
Dope.
That was a good one.
That's a gem. That's a bar. So.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it. That's something that even TJ and I think, probably have been guilty of, especially in all the time we've been together. So it's
especially you.
This is I've been working on this nigga for like 17 years, and yet here we are. He's still a work in progress. But but with that I yield.
There's always gonna be a work in progress, though.
Right?
Exactly. I'm okay with that.
So
just because you forgive doesn't mean that I have to forgive. Do you hear them? Do you hear them words?
No, but yo.
No, I just want you to remember that because you forgive me the way that you forgive me, you expect me to do the same, and that's not always the case. And I have someone who backed that. Thank you. I'm gonna remember this episode forever.
I give so much grace and I have so much patience.
I love you.
I love you too. You're like the potholes in Baltimore. Like you're just always working on it, but they're just never
That's
always
crazy.
fixed. But it's okay.
Don't touch me.
All right. Anyway, so now we are going to jump into our word. Well, TJ's word of the week.
We're not doing a Black History fact.
We're gonna do Black History. We're gonna end with Black History and then jump into our interview.
That works.
All right. So,
because we had Orlando on, I wanted to do a word with passion and love and sex, right? So, right?
okay.
So, and I can't even really pronounce this word. So
I know that's how
got
you be fucking me up because you be mispronouncing.
So I'm gonna let him do it.
This is Roger.
Concupiscent.
What?
His name is Adam.
Adam.
Hold on.
Concupiscent.
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 Yep.
What does it mean?
Vigorously passionate.
Concupiscent.
Yep.
Concupiscent. I don't like the way he pronounced it, but okay.
Hold on. We could find somebody else.
Concupiscent.
Okay, that was better. Leave it. Let it. Yeah, she did it way better.
All right.
One more time.
Well, women do it better. That's what they say.
That's a sexy word.
We're gonna let Amanda go.
Concupiscent.
So her definition is filled with sexual desire, lustful,
Oh, so you're like concupiscent of me?
concupiscent dreams.
Oh, you have concupiscent dreams? Okay. All right, here we go. Ready? Concupiscent.
I'm not using that in the bedroom, by the way.
Yeah, like
I wouldn't either. But
I'm having so many concupiscent thoughts.
Right.
but I may send you a text.
I'm like,
Hey, Danny, I got this concupiscent dream going on right now.
all right,
Go ahead.
all right. Okay, CON. CUP. Concupiscent. CONCUPI. SCENT.
Fucking got it right.
Concupiscent. So, because that was easy. But then I was thinking Cupid, like Cupid, right? So that's why I got the CUPI. And really, real talk, I didn't know if it was going to be SC or CENT or SCN.
But you got it right. It doesn't matter. Let's just move forward.
Flips gold hoop. That's
Yeah, because you can't flip hair.
because first of all, my braid out is under here. Mind your business.
Exactly. So with your braid out, you can't flip it. That's all I'm saying.
But why do you have to? You don't have to say nothing.
Because I just want to make sure that you don't try.
You are a shady lady.
That's
We talked
crazy.
about this.
I just can't win. I'm an honest person.
You're a shady bitch. That's what you are.
Sassy hoe.
Exactly. Like because he tries to pass it off like he's like, what did I say? You know what you're saying. He's
What you did.
passive aggressive in body.
I'm straight honest.
Anyway, but now we're gonna jump into the last thing before we get into our interview of our lovely guest.
Yes.
Is our Black History fact for this week's episode. So I'm gonna go first. Okay.
You got it.
All right. So tomorrow this episode will drop. So on this day, August 17th, in 1887, the father of the Black nationalism movement, Marcus Garvey, was born. So I did not know that. Happy birthday, Marcus Garvey.
I just knew that Marcus Garvey had a park named after him in Harlem.
That he also did for many reasons.
And didn't he try to get people to go to Africa or something like that?
That was also one of his I'm pretty sure that was one of his platforms or charges of his programmatic thrust, whatever you want to call it. So it was everybody just pack up and let's go, which, you know what, in 2020 does not sound like a terrible fucking idea. So
what I've learned...
Isn't Marcus Garvey Jamaican?
yes, he was born in Jamaica.
Oh, that's the one thing I know, because I'm Jamaican.
Okay. Look at that. Yes, he is Jamaican. I saw that as well in my little blurb.
I don't know much about Marcus Garvey, but I blame the white school system.
I agree.
Well, the white school system doesn't teach us about Black history, so it's kind of up to us, which is honestly pretty much why we kind of created the Black History fact, because I feel like it's a way to kind of us to continue learning. But I just know that they don't really teach us Black history. They teach us white history, and then they may sprinkle some of the blackness in there, but they try to make it seem like
and only in February. But
even only in February, they don't
go deep.
No, not at all.
Yeah, no, I fully understand. That's why I'm always grateful for my 7th grade history teacher, Mr. Lawrence, because he taught us all things Black and Africa. Like, I don't even know what the New York City Department of Education curriculum for 7th grade history was during that time, but Mr. Lawrence, we started in Africa, and we went through any and everybody from Mansa Musa, Hatshepsut, Nefertiti, Kemet, everything. Like,
that's dope.
We went through the gamut. Like, I don't even think we left Africa the whole school year. So,
I didn't really learn Black history until, so it's twofold with that. I didn't learn into 11th grade, and that was U.S. history. Mr. Williams,
the big black man.
So he was a big black man.
With
he wore sweaters year round with a bald head, but he was loud, and people were afraid of him. And he used to always say, like, the white people don't like me because I'm loud, but whatever. But what he did was he taught us, U.S. history, but he sprinkled in like all the all the African Black facts. So like that's how I learned about like Emmett Till, Jack Johnson, and how like the Mann Act, they created it because Jack Johnson would have white women with him when he traveled, so they put something in place to catch him. But I would have never known that. But yeah, that was it. And then my Uncle Warren, he was like always a history buff, so that's how I learned like a lot of different Black history. So.
Shout out to the educators.
Right. It's so funny. This wasn't a Black history lesson, but it definitely was a Black lesson. It's not until I got older that I thought back to it and was like, you know what? That was something for Black people. I had a math teacher. I had to be in 10th grade probably, and we was acting up. I think we acted up like the day before, and then the next day he came in, and while he's like dealing with the class or whatever, he was just upset the whole class, and so the whole class he was teaching us math, but he was teaching us the wrong thing the whole class, and the reason why he was doing it was because the day before he taught us the right thing. This day comes, he taught us the wrong thing the whole class. And then at the end of the class, he was like, everything I taught you today was wrong. And it goes to show that you need to do your own research. You need to, if you think it's wrong, you need to stick to your own guns and like, just stay true to yourself so that you don't go like through life just having people pull you in one direction with information, pull you in another direction with information. You need to do your own research, stick to your own guns of what you know is right. And it's not until I got older that I started to realize that a lot of things that we're taught is so incorrect, and then we have to go out and research it on our own. And then when people come and try to tell us like a different way of our own history or whatever the case might be, you know what's right, and you need to stick to what you know and what is the actual truth.
Absolutely.
But it's not. And it was a class of Black people. He was a Black man teaching this class. And it's something that I didn't really understand. It always stuck with me for some reason, but I really got it when I really got into the world and started to understand like how the world is.
Yeah, that's really usually what ends up happening is like it's like the things that we learn in school. Of course, there's like the fundamentals we of course take with us forever, but it's a lot of the little things that end up sticking with us, like the things, and like there's things that I've told my students in the past, and they were like, "Yeah, remember when you said this?" And I'm like, "No," and they were like, "Oh yeah, you said this, and this is what stuck with me." And that's the power of like education, because like even in those relationships that you have with educators, because even like my same teacher, he used to say when I was, so I was 12 in 7th grade, and he used to always be like, when we'd be like, typical middle school, we're like, "That's not fair, oh my God," and he'd be like, "Listen, life isn't fair, but it's real." And like I say that now, I've said that to my students. He was like, "Life is never fair." He was like, "It's just all life is real, every day, all day." And that's, how else we were going to describe it, But babe, did you give your fact?
I did not.
All right, so I'm gonna toss it over to you and you give the fact.
So my fact is that the month of August has its own like holiday. That's a Black fact that I didn't know. So they call it Black August. And Black August is the rich history of Black resistance. Revolutionary movements such as the Watts Uprising, Haitian Revolution, Nat Turner Rebellion, Fugitive Slave Law Convention, and March on Washington all happened in August. Also, many of our revolutionaries such as Marcus Garvey, Fred Hampton was born in August. Black August was started in California prisons in 1970 by black freedom fighters who wanted to honor the lives and struggle of black political prisoners killed by the state. So they say that from August 1st to August 31st is called Black August, and I didn't know that. So.
I did not either.
That's well, something really fucked up just came to my mind, but hear me out. Hear me out, right?
Okay.
So Black August is about like fighting back and getting independence from like all these different countries and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Black History Month to celebrate our Black history. We have Juneteenth, mostly for African Americans, but still we got Juneteenth. Now imagine if black people didn't want equality and we actually wanted freedom, and we chose like one day out of August where we have like a purge towards white people. but that was me going dark. But just imagine if that's how we were actually trying to move. That would change like so many things. But good thing we're such happy-go-lucky, great people, right?
I know. That's what they said. They were like, be glad we want equality and not revenge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they ain't lying about that.
The Black Purge.
I'm listening. And that's why that like I'm here for it, but it terrifies me at the same time, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, that would be tough. That would be such a crazy thing, but I don't think that we would be able to come together to like
properly
do it
execute
properly.
it. Yeah.
We ain't got the heart for it.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, because you know what? I think too, it's just like so in so many ways we're still so either by on purpose or because of just the culture that we've grown up in is like we're so ingrained in like the societal norms and the need, like those needs and stuff like that from like, I'm thinking like I have a house and I have a job and I have all these other things going on, you know what I mean? So it's like I can't like I have to think about more than just myself too,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also part of the conversation when you say like we don't have the heart for it, because like I don't know if I would have the heart for that, because as like while I get it, I just also know that like I have other people to think about before I can just like execute it in that fashion.
I don't know if it's necessarily the heart all the way. I think it's just we don't have the resources. We don't have the backing to always do it, right? Like the reason why this COVID was perfect is because it made everybody like no one is going to work, or if you're working from home. So we had to see the George Floyd every day. We had to see the Ahmaud Arbery every day, right? But if we were going back to work, I think it would have just been another day. I don't think we would have gotten the stuff that we'd have gotten thus far if COVID wasn't here. COVID, I feel like helped us because now the world had to sit down and see it. The world couldn't go granted, there's still people out there who's traveling and stuff like that, but you had to see it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it happened and then the next morning you had to get up and go to work and prepare your daughter or your child to go to school. Like, our life kind of stopped. Like, the shit that we've been dealing with. Honestly, when stuff happened, I'm like, oh, another black person. I didn't think it was going to be this big. But again, people are home. Yeah. This is all they see. So the kids, they can march. They can fight. You know what I mean? The adults, they can fight. Like, it's those differences. So I think having the resources would allow us to kind of move more freely, right? Because the KKK, they march. They do the stuff that they do. They have the resources behind to back them. So it's a little bit different.
I don't even know if they have. Well, I mean, they kind of do, but I think it's just because they get carte blanche to do what they want to do because they don't get treated.
The fact that the KKK is not considered a terrorist group or a hate organization.
That's what I mean.
That to me just shows that they have the resources. They have the backing.
I mean, because the same people that make the laws are the same people wearing the hoods.
No, definitely. But I'm just saying because the Black Panther Party, They were considered the most dangerous group in America, but the KKK wasn't. And that was because it was black people who was walking around knowing their rights and they had firearms. But that's not that's a problem. But the KKKs can go into people's houses, they can steal people, they can kidnap people, murder them, and get away with it. They can burn crosses on people's yard, and that's okay. So I just feel like those are the differences.
Yeah. The reason why I say we don't have the heart for it, because I feel like even if we did have the resources, we wouldn't even go through with it. And I feel like that makes the difference between us and like other people. It's like, okay, we think about the hood and like the amount of guns and how accessible like guns are to like these kids, black kids, even at a younger age, and we're not going to, don't hear about black schools. You don't hear about like mass murders, like kids going into churches, like black kids going into churches and like just massacring everybody. Like we have these like, we have the weaponry and we still don't even go through it. So that's why I feel like it all comes down to like how we feel about other people and other races and stuff like that. Why we can have everything and we still wouldn't go through with a lot of the shit that other races go through.
I can see that. I can see both sides to that, right? Because I can see them not wanting to do it because they feel like, you know what I mean, there's the back end. But I also think the portrayal is different, right? Dylan Roof killed those people in the church, and they took him to Burger King after. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if that was a young African-American, he wouldn't have made it out alive. If a young African-American killed a family of 10 in their sanctuary, mm-hmm. He wouldn't have made it out alive. Shit, if he would have done that to, imagine an African American going to where did the Jewish,
a synagogue?
They going to a synagogue and doing that. He doesn't make it out alive.
But he doesn't even go in the first place.
Okay.
Oh, probably because they'd be in. Depending on where you go, there might be an air of like, "Why are you here?" Whereas the
church is more.
They were like welcoming of him, and you know he prayed with them beforehand.
Huh?
Bullets
fly faster than questions. So by the time you ask me why I'm there,
true. But in that case, he was there for a while.
Yeah, he came to worship. He worshipped with them. He prayed with them, and then
he's sick in the head.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely so.
Well.
So with that, we're going to take a moment. We're going to hear a message from our sponsor, and then we are going to pick right back up
with the questions.
Hey friend, it's time for you to ditch those workout gloves and get the grip and wrist support you deserve. What do you suggest? You need to get the Gaines Load and Lock grips by Gaines Sports Gear. They are more durable than gloves, have a non-slip grip pad that provides grip support and added wrist support unlike your traditional workout gloves, and will protect your hands from calluses. Do they come in different colors? Not only do they come in different colors, but they are available for men and women. Do yourself a favor, go to GainesSportsGear.com. And remember, a better grip equals a better lift. Embrace the process.
And you too can embrace the process by going to Gaines, that's GAINZ, sportsgear.com, and entering the code LOVERS10 for 10% off your first purchase. And now, back to the show.
And now we're back.
And now it is time to actually interview our wonderful guest and ask the question. So, Orlando, we have a sorry, somebody was looking for the dog, and so sorry, 1 second. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So there's a lot going on right now. Pardon us. All right. So.
And I'm not editing this out. So.
No, listen. Tatum trying to come to the door. They were looking for the dog. It's, you know, this is podcasting and parenting all wrapped into one.
That just proves my point that London goes missing once a week because everyone was looking for her. Go ahead.
Anyway, so we always start with a little icebreaker for our guests, question to kind of ease them into things. So, for you, what is the kindest or wisest thing someone has ever told you? I know it's kind of like a.
Yeah, they told me that I haven't. I always fuck with this word. Omnipotent mind state. Like I see things on a grander scale, on a more worldly scale than on a smaller scale. It was just like from conversation, but it also attributed to like me being Aquarius and me just like be free flowing and like out of the box thinking. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of weird because I'm like the type of person where when I see like tragedies, I feel bad, and I don't want these tragedies to happen. But then there's like another part of my mind that I'll see a tragedy and think about like the carbon footprint and how there's less people. And I was like, oh, well, now maybe one dolphin got saved. Like that's the weird way of like how I think on like a grander scale, like how each person affects like the other. Like there's just like a whole web of how we're all interconnected, and one tragedy saves a certain amount of people, and a certain amount of people being saved causes like 2 more tragedies. So,
Are you like kind of like into the like butterfly effect type thing?
In a sense, yes.
Sort of. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's a matter of like having an omnipotent mind state, but also having like a human type of like emotional spectrum of like how I feel about things.
do you view it as like a gift and a curse? I said, do you view it as like a gift or a curse or both?
Yeah, sort
of. True.
Oh no, yeah, I think it is both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely understand
That
that.
was one of the kindest things. It's like, yeah, it just I guess it gives a meaning or a definition to like how I think. So it's not something that I noticed or thought of myself until it was said to me.
That's good. Sometimes it's nice when you can like put a word to something, so you can be like, oh yeah, like this is that kind of puts a bow on it of sorts. So that way you can like when you want to describe this like very like nuanced thing, and it's like, oh, I can assign meaning to it with like a handful of words. That's even better.
Right.
I'm gonna do the next question. I gotta interject, otherwise you just go. Right? I love you though.
Okay.
What led you to become so sex positive, right? What is your origin story?
For how I became so positive? I saw a lot of negative growing up. So I was born in Jamaica. I was born in like the ghetto of like Kingston, like a terrible part of Kingston. So I was really bad growing up. That got fixed with a lot of beatings. My mom was dealing with my dad while he was married, and I ended up being the first child, and that didn't sit well with my stepmother, who was this like super Christian woman, but she treated me horribly, and I'm like, I thought Christians were supposed to be nice, and so just going through a lot of bad, I noticed that you can either go 2 directions as the kid when like a lot of negative things happen to you. So you can either embrace it and be negative yourself, or you can see it and be like, I don't want to be like that. So I always just saw like a lot of negative like growing up. Then I grew up poor until like, what do they say? Grab yourself up from the bootstraps or whatever and made it happen. So I got my own career when I was I started my career when I was pretty young. So I just saw the beauty also of just like being nice to people, and it just made me feel better. So yeah, ever since I was young, just seeing a lot of negative around me made me want to do the opposite.
So, I mean, I think that's dope. And you kind of touched on something that TJ always talks about, which is like it costs you nothing to be nice. And so that's something he also like lives by.
It's so much easier.
It is. Like, I feel like it takes...
Yeah, and it helps
Go ahead.
Right, and it helps me now because now that I'm in like this creative fields, like people meet me and like they get so comfortable around me, and everything I do is genuine or to help like other people. So now people see me and they'll be like, oh, he's cool, like we can have a conversation. I can have a conversation with them, and then after a while they're just like, oh, they will want to work with me, or they want to like pick my brain, or they just want to talk to me about something creative. And I built so many genuine connections with people, and it's also because like I care about what people think or what people are going through. So when I meet people, it's not like oh, what do you do? What kind of content do you have? Can I be on your show? Can I be a guest? It's nothing like that. I just want to talk to you, get to know you as a person, and then with that, people just want me to like be around them and want me to be on the show and gravitate to me and want to work together. So I don't do things with the purpose of something transactional coming from it. So just being this positive person and just being nice to people, like they just genuinely just gravitate towards me.
I think that's the best thing. That's how I do it. Like I do what I do just because I'm like it's genuine. Like I'm not doing it. I don't expect nothing from nobody. I don't want nothing from nobody. It's just easier to be nice than to be mean. Like it takes too much energy to be mean or be evil or standoffish. Like You see somebody, you say hi. Doesn't matter if you know them or don't know them. Doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. Like if I see a homeless person, I'm gonna say hi. And I'm not like, again, I don't get nothing out of that. But how many people walk past that homeless person and treat them like a homeless person? You know, so
exactly.
That's why for me it's nothing just to say hi. You know, I may have made that person's day. He may have been getting ready to rob me, and I said hi to him, and now it's like, damn, I can't rob him because he said he was nice. You know what I mean? So I just try to be positive because, again, it takes more energy and it's more draining to be negative.
Yeah, exactly.
That I can agree with because Lord knows. I mean, like anything else, it's always easy to complain.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's easier to complain than it is to compliment, right? It's easier to, wallow in things that make you miserable because... And although I am a proponent of, like, sometimes when you're going through it or, like, because life is a bunch of ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys. And so I am a proponent of, like, stewing it, sitting in your feelings for a little bit, right? But then you move on. So, because, like, I'm also, like, somebody who's, like, I'm be like, well, this isn't that serious or it's not that big of a deal. Get over it. But it's also, like, no, like, you're upset or you're in a funk or whatever. You're pissed. Be pissed, be in a funk, whatever, but let that be like time, like there's an expiration on it. Yeah, there's, you circle back around and you come out of it. So being that you're very vocal about sex positivity, you're very open. You discuss it on your podcast, on your social media and everything else. That is something that is like even the phrase sex positivity is way more kind of a newer thing. And I think oftentimes we see a lot of women that are more so at the front or very vocal about it. I would say more than men at this point. And what my question to you is then how do you contend with those who might try to like come in your comments or whatever, like questioning your masculinity, questioning you, as it pertains to the way that you are so vocal about your sexuality, your interest, and just being vocal about sex positivity?
It's security. I realized that being secure in myself and being myself bodes better for me than being trendy or a follower.
Mm-hmm.
I realized at a young age, and this is me being omnipotent and shit like that, I realized at a young age that society follows trends.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a person. Everybody's not necessarily individual. Everybody is not necessarily exploring their own individuality.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is moving trendy and stuff like that. But me always thinking outside the box and me always like asking questions. After a while, just like I don't want to do that because that's not something like I want to do. It could be like the simplest things, like let's say getting Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't want to I'm not into Jordans. I'm not gonna get it just because everybody else is getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came to realize that there are people that's out there that didn't, when everybody was going right, they went left. And even though they got shunned and made fun of, after a while, there was that one person that got curious about going left also. Then more people started going left. And then all of a sudden, now half the people are going left, half the people are going right. So it just takes that one person to say like, yo, this is not okay. I mean, this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a problem. You can do this also and it's okay. Now, there is a limit because there is some fucked up shit that people try to normalize.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it does more good than bad when you think for yourself. So just thinking like that at a young age and then building upon it as my maturity went on and then as I like explored like my own sexuality and stuff like that, I just did what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I wanted. I did it when I wanted to. There was just I just always made sure that whatever I was doing wasn't harming anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
If it was harming me, that's out of my curiosity what I wanted to do, but I made sure it didn't affect anybody else. So just building upon that, and then after a while, when you're stuck in that kind of mind state or mentality, you just move at your own accord. So yeah, and then I've always just been like a curious and comfortable person to be around. So like the omnipotent thinking, the me being genuine, me being my own individual and not following trends. All of that mixes together to just bring me to who I am now.
Awesome.
Dope.
And I think you really hit the nail on the head in the beginning part where you talked about just like being like that security, right? And being secure in yourself, because, you know, I'm again getting to a point in my life where I'm more secure now than I ever have been, but it definitely for me anyway was a work in progress and something that like I'm always working towards something, because, you know, we are sometimes like hardwired to have like groupthink, and, you know, it's kind of like herd mentality and for like survival, you know, and so it's somewhere deep down in our psyche, but that ends up like presenting in these ways that are like you're going with the flow or you're going with the majority just because why? Because, you know, and there really isn't a logic behind it when it comes to certain things, except for the fact that you don't want to have to engage in like a discussion, an argument. You don't want to have to explain yourself and justify yourself. And these are all the things that we kind of have to like unlearn or find a balance in, of like, you know, I can say and do and choose whatever I like, as long as, like you said, everybody involved is consenting and we're being safe. Then, you know, there's no real explanation needed outside of that. But it takes a lot of like self-reflection and information and exploration to really like.
It takes a lot of courage too.
Courage, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I think being secure with yourself makes things easy. Growing up, my father made it like all the time. He used to tell me like, you couldn't be a follower, you got to do stuff. So like the trendy stuff that I may have wanted to do, I didn't really have that opportunity to really jump on, because my parents wouldn't like let me. Like, you know, growing up in New York, there were people who had groups and stuff. Like everyone had a clique. I couldn't be a part of the cliques. I like even as bad as I wanted to be, they made it like, nah, you can't be affiliated with nobody. You are your own individual. And as I've got, like, I may have resented them growing up for it, but it definitely helped me just be like more confident within myself and be comfortable within my own skin. Like when I was bigger in weight, I was still confident, right? And like when I look back at old pictures and stuff, I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't realize how big I truly was, but I was just so confident within myself. Like in my mind, the only thing people could say about me was I was fat. That was it. Like you wasn't going to say that. Yeah, exactly. And even that, I got so secure in that it was like, I couldn't wait. Like in my mind, I was waiting for someone to start joking, because I had jokes for days, but I was so secure. Like I knew that, and you know what I mean? It was kind of like Eminem and 8 Mile. Like I knew what you was going to say about me. So once you got, so I'm going to say it first. I'm fat. Now what is your jokes? And once you couldn't say nothing, now I'm going to fire you up. So it's definitely those things of just learning yourself. And it's important. Once you kind of learn yourself and you get there, it's so much easier to just be yourself. You're confident and stuff like that. So,
and what's been happening recently is like people that know me but don't really know me that well, like they'll try to make the jokes, or like even my close friends, because they know like I'm jokey too, they'll make the jokes about me like being so comfortable about my sexuality. And even now I'm doing this on this whole thing of like letting men know that it's okay for men to like have male sex toys and like stuff like that, and like just reviewing male sex toys so people can understand and be more comfortable. And going back to like the whole trend thing, there are people that like make fun of it or joke on me about it. It's like, oh, you know, you being a real freak or you're real horny. But then there'll be the same ones, or more people will be in my DMs like, oh, so can I know more information about this toy or more information about that toy? And I'll send them to like the right places or answer questions, or send them to the person that can like answer the question for them. And because what also boded well for me was because people saw that I move at my own wavelength. By the time that it came to me like doing this and being more open about like sexuality and like trying to being more expressive about sexuality and trying to get other people to like be more expressive and comfortable, the people that really knew me, that I called my friends, they didn't question it, because it's like, that's just Orlando.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know he'd be doing this, but it's not surprising that he's doing it, because he's just that comfortable with himself.
Got you.
Like, at this point, anything I do, nobody questions it. We can all joke, we can all laugh, we can all take it serious or whatever the case may be, but nobody's going to question it, because I've just been so secure for so long.
Exactly.
Dope.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick with that, I have a story that this is a perfect opportunity to talk about it. So I had a male sex toy.
You did.
It was called an Auto Blow 2.
Okay.
I can't wait for the text message from my sister when
Yeah,
she listens to this episode.
she's gonna get it. So in my younger horny days, I felt like I wasn't getting enough from Dani, so I bought this toy. And she was my girlfriend at the time, my fiance, or we may have been married. I don't know.
I don't know if we were married.
Whatever it was, Dani was so disgusted that I had this sex toy.
You shaming him?
Shamed me. Mind you, she has her own toys.
Okay.
Right.
I've never.
The double standard, my brother.
Wait.
Go ahead.
So let me say this. To add to context and transparency.
Go ahead.
Is I had more of an issue with it because it was kind of like I felt like it was a reaction to what he thought he wasn't getting from us. Like it wasn't like this is something I'm interested in and I want to try or da-da-da. It was kind of like it was at the time it felt like you're not doing your job, so now I have to seek other things. And so that was a part of it. But that wasn't the whole thing. But that's what I latched on to. So that's why I was like I had a very hard time with it. And so I don't
know where it's at. I think that she threw it away, and she will not admit
that
she threw it away.
I don't know where it is. I didn't throw it away.
She won't admit that she threw it away. If she did, I'd be like, okay, cool.
If I threw it away, we moved, right? So if it got thrown away, like in the process, I don't know what to tell you.
That's why you laughing right now.
I did not.
You can't keep a straight face.
I did not purposely.
You owe me an Auto Blow 3.
I do not owe you shit.
You owe me an Auto Blow 3.
I did not purposely throw anything away. Okay. But I will also say though is that it had, and we've incorporated toys and stuff in the past, but that one I was personally.
Personal attack.
I felt like personally attacked because I felt like you bought it in response to you feeling like it wasn't enough, and I felt like your expectations for like how often we should be intimate wasn't.
That's why I preface I was fair. Young and horny.
Okay, and so that's why I had my issues with this. So Orlando, I was not trying to shame him.
She definitely shamed me. She definitely shamed.
I was not trying to.
She may not shame me now. You know, our communication is much better. We are much mature and all that good stuff. More mature. But at that time, she was shaming me.
I was not.
I would ask you this because you say that you felt like it was I guess a reaction to like you not doing your job. Like, what's the reason why you have toys then?
So more so, I feel like it's something that TJ has like wanted, like asked me or like wanted to like, do you want to try? Like, I feel like he's ordered me things more than I've ordered myself things. So like for us to like to keep things spicy. So
that may be fair.
So I'm probably like if I had to be honest, like I would say like he's more that is more like his avenue of things that he wants to incorporate into our sex life, and I'm down for it too. But especially during that time, it was more like I wasn't buying them for me. It was like he was buying them because I guess he was like really horny, I guess, you know. So he was like everything but the kitchen sink was being thrown at us, and that was one of it. So I hope that makes sense. Like it was I wasn't for or against it for either of us, either way. But that particular purchase made me feel some type of way because of the context around why he bought it, not necessarily what it was.
Yeah, the only reason why I ask is because there is a double standard there as far as like women shaming men with sex toys, and if we break it down to like the basics of it, women have sex toys for where not necessarily where men lack, but where men can't achieve. Because me personally, with male sex toys, I'll get this like question a lot. Oh, does it feel just like a real thing, or does it feel better, or does it feel like worse? And I tell people that there's no comparison. It's just a different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what and I'm talking about male sex toys for like men to understand more, but there has to be an understanding for women also that you there's a whole area for women to have sex with and to explore sexuality and pleasure and stuff like that. So with knowing that, you have to understand that men need their own area where they can explore it also. And you know the reasons why. So you know that it's not a competition to you. It's just a different type of pleasure.
And had that been framed to me in that way, I probably would have been.
I don't think that
you did not frame it.
I don't think at that time in our lives.
I don't even think you told me. I think I found it.
No, I bought it.
Oh no, maybe you did say you were going to get it or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't secretive.
Rectify this.
Go ahead.
If you really care about his pleasure and you really feel like you did no wrong,
you see that face?
Away,
you see that face?
Just buy him a new one. I can send you the site. You buy him a new one.
You can put in our DMs. I'll peruse the website. I'll do that.
I'll leave you the site and I'll leave you the promo code.
Okay. Even better. I appreciate that. Well, but do you even want one? Do you even want one anymore?
Make you insecure.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine too, because I don't. But I think it's. Okay. Let me ask you this: do you want one?
I don't want to auto blow again
now. Nope, say I do now.
I do now.
Say you want 2.
I want the auto blow 2 and 3.
Listen, promo codes don't do for 2 products. Oh, well, I appreciate your transparency. I'm gonna have to text my sister with a trigger warning. She's gonna be like,
she probably will, but
she's gonna absolutely send a text message.
Pretty much what Orlando said is like, I'm secure with who I am and everything. No, I'm not saying it for just Shayla, but I'm just saying in general, like I'm comfortable with it. So like me talking about it, I'm not embarrassed. Like, yeah, I bought sex toy. Like at the end of the day, it's my life, and you know what I mean? Like, if it bothers anybody that a man is buying sex toys, then you got to really look into your life and say, what's wrong with me that I care so much that someone else is buying a toy? Like, they make them for a reason. So there's a market there. People are buying them just because just because an individual is not comfortable with it. Like, just like Michelle said, don't yuck my yum. You know what I mean? Like, don't yuck what other people find. What other people like.
Enjoy, yeah. No, listen, like I said, at the core of it, if you are consenting and it's safe, then that's the only 2 boxes you really have to ever check.
Agreed.
Rectify the situation, sis. He's at a loss right now.
He's not at a loss.
Technically, I am.
I don't think he's at a loss, but you know what? We can peruse the website and see if there's something else that if you're interested in.
I'm gonna send you some suggestions also, because there's definitely one that's like a go-to.
See?
Okay. All right. Listen.
I'll let you know if she follows through.
Okay. Because you know what? Then I'm gonna send when I'm tapped out. Then I will be like, okay.
Okay.
By all means.
Also, I don't take any responsibility if anything happens to the marriage after.
Disclaimer.
He doesn't want to touch me anymore. All he does is stay with that toy. You'd be like striking vipers. He always played with the game instead of going back to his wife. I don't know if you watch Black Mirror.
Oh! I heard about that episode. It's with Anthony Mackie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And Yaya.
Yes, I did hear.
Is that the one where he's like
in the game,
the virtual game where it was like his friend and he like falls in love with his friend
in the game.
In the game.
But just in the game, they were just like having sex in the game. But the point of it was, he got so in tune with the game and that pleasure that he just stopped fucking his wife.
That won't happen. I got you. I won't ever stop.
I'll send you like 2 links to like 2 partner toys and like 2 like regular toys.
Well, I'm excited. Listen, we can come back around next episode and give a product review.
Yeah, exactly.
So like in a couple weeks.
Am I doing the next question or you got it?
I'm doing the next one because you asked the last one.
No, you asked the last one. The masculinity question.
I apologize.
Go ahead. You can go again.
I was wrong. I'm saying I apologize. What else do you want?
No, I'm saying you can go again, but you can apologize one more time. It feels good to hear it. Go ahead.
What do you do when you are... Oh, I'm sorry. When you're dating, apologies. How do you start to have these conversations around your, incorporation of sex toys, your sexual positivity? How do you start to like have that discussion around that with a person that could be like a potential partner?
When I'm dating?
Yeah.
Like, is it like first date or like we've been dating for a while?
let's say dating for a little while, because first date, like you're still feeling people out.
Let me throw something in there. On your first date, do you bring those stuff up, or is it just based off of how the date is going?
No, I don't bring it up, but my date does. Like when I date people, like they'll bring it up and ask questions, which is so funny because women talking about sex on the first date is on the flip side is something that they don't like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, they'll bring it up. But I don't mind answering the question. It's not necessarily like a go-to thing that I want to talk about in the first date, but it's not something I mind answering. But as far as like somebody I'm dating, it's my approach to it. I'll talk about it, but it's my approach because I don't make it a thing. I just talk about it casually.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a conversation. And then they're just sitting there like, for most people, it's a thing for them. It's different for them. It's taboo for them. So they're like, oh my gosh, what about that? I'm sitting here like, oh, yeah, it's this and that. And I just make it seem so casual and calm that then they start to like calm down and realize that it's not that big of a conversation as they might deem it to be.
True that.
I normalize it, basically.
Hot button word.
What do you do if someone isn't as sexually mature or adventurous as you?
Sorry, repeat the beginning of that one time.
I said, what do you do if someone isn't as sexually mature or adventurous as you?
I meet them at their level, but like it's only fun if they want to do it also.
Gotcha.
So trying to push somebody that like maybe I'm just dating or maybe we just have like a sexual relationship, it doesn't do me any justice. So yeah, I meet them at their level, but if I want to try something new, I'm just gonna find somebody that is willing to go there with me. It's really just that. Yeah, it's really just that simple and easy for me. It's not comfortable for me to like bring you to that level, and sometimes people want to know, but when I talk about sex on a podcast, when I'm like a guest on a podcast talking about sex, when I'm asked questions about it when I'm dating, now when it gets to the point of like actually having sex, I don't want to have to teach you also. Like it feels so much better when it just goes naturally.
That was going to be one of my questions. It was like, cause I'm like, there's also probably people who maybe don't have a lot of experience, but have maybe there's like the level of curiosity, but somebody kind of has to kind of bring them along that journey. But it was like, do you want to be that? Are you okay being that person? But at the same time, you don't always want to have to like be like a sensei to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there are moments where if they're really open and curious and trying, I'll be like, I don't mind doing it. It's not, I don't totally shut off because I want people to be more comfortable and learn. But it just depends. It just really just depends on like the relationship of the person, and it also depends on the mindset of the person.
True.
Because I don't want to teach you. I don't want you to say like you're open, and then I'm teaching you. I'm having the conversation, and you're just like, oh nah, I'm backtracking. No, I don't want to do this. Like now we just both wasted our time. Yeah. So it's more so about your mentality than how open you are sexually or how far you want to go with learning.
True that. So TJ brought it to my attention when we were planning and preparing for this episode that you have an OnlyFans page, right? And so OnlyFans is obviously like very much like a thing and a forum that people are frequenting, and it looks, and there's now I think kind of like a natural inclination to think that there's things that are like sexually, in sexuality involved when it comes to OnlyFans. But our question for you is really like, what was the reasoning that led you to kind of even start one, being that it is such a, it's such a, again, like it's just like a popular forum now, or like it's a hot discussion point in the social media sphere. So what brought Orlando to OnlyFans?
So me managing So Shameless, I primarily put together their live shows. So I put together their first live show in New York, and they have a sponsor already called Rada Boudoir, who sells sex toys. So I get there, I'm new in like the sense of like being a part of So Shameless. Yeah. And they was like, hey, we'll gift you a pocket pussy. So I'm like, okay, dope. I ended up giving it away and never using it and giving it away to my homeboy because he has a wife and like 3 or 4 kids. And I was like, you need this more than I do. So going forward, I did another live show for So Shameless in Atlanta. And they came to me and were like, oh, how was the toy that we gave you? And I was like, to be honest with you, I actually gave it away to a friend, and I'll see like what he says with of like how it went along with him using it. They said, you know what, not a problem, we'll give you another one. So I was like, oh man, like you guys are giving me these toys. I know sex toys aren't cheap, whatever the case may be. So you know what, I'll use it, I'll do a demonstration, and I'll give you a review. So you know, I could do some kind of promotion. I used it. I videotaped it. The shit looked amazing, and I said I cannot give this away for free. So I just started an OnlyFans, and the point of my OnlyFans was to review, educate, and spread awareness and comfort with men using sex toys. Because I'm the type of person, even with like all the accolades that you read off that I do, I want there to be a reason. I want there to be some kind of theme behind it. I don't want to be, like I said, I go left when everybody goes right. So I don't want to be like everybody else. So I said, you know what? I will primarily be an education and comfort space with my OnlyFans. And then I practice taking nudes, and I have like an imagination, a wild imagination and like creativity. So I practice taking nudes, and I send it to like some really close like female friends that I feel comfortable showing it to, and they were like, this is amazing. So a mix of like all of that, like my news being great, me reviewing these toys. I started one, and over time, I started in January 2020. So right now we're in August 2020, and over time, it boomed and people love it, and now I'm in the top 4% now of all creators on OnlyFans.
Dope.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
So you'll see, like, you know, you'll go on Twitter and stuff like that, and you'll see women or anybody putting out previews on their own page. I've never put out one.
Wow. So you're right, because like you'll see them like, for more, click on my OnlyFans and da-da-da-da.
Exactly.
Oh, so you really...
Everything is just me reviewing the toys or just word of mouth. And that was the other challenge that I like put on myself, just to see if like I can do it. And it worked out well. And I'm the top 4% on OnlyFans.
Congratulations.
And the content on there is legit chef's kiss. Like,
Fair. I like it.
So hypothetically, if you met a partner who matched your energy but didn't like your OnlyFans, would you stop?
And they match my energy, but
they want
me to stop OnlyFans.
They want you to stop doing OnlyFans.
Yes, but at this. All right. So if this question was asked to me like 2 months ago, I would say yes. But now it's like yes, but now we got to match the income in some other way.
Gotcha.
Because, I'm not doing it, and I didn't do it for the money. But the price that I have on OnlyFans is to compensate the work and quality of work I put in on there. So, like, I'm investing in myself. Like, I'm buying cameras, tripods, and ring lights, and stuff like that to give out a better quality. So everybody appreciates that. Everybody is coming on and like spreading the word because I do all these things to make sure everything is great, which is now translating into a good amount of dollars.
Yeah, income, a steady income. So
right. So now, if I'm telling you like, yo, all right, I'll stop the OnlyFans, but how are we gonna compensate for the $2,000 a month I'm losing?
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Because that would be, and then I wrote that question. That hypothetical question, because I almost dare I say, like, if you meet someone who checks off all the boxes of what Orlando wants, right? Like both like sexually, mentally, spiritually, like y'all are like my like devil's advocate question to the hypothetical would be like, well, is it really matching your same energy in the same way, like if they would even want you to stop? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. So best case scenario, right? Perfect world is like if they're cool with everything else, then this should also be. And they're there with you as far as like the chemistry and the sexuality in that department. That this should only really it shouldn't be a problem. It should only elevate it, right? Or it'd be like, well, that's what you do, boo. Like, we go dinner on you, drinks on you, right? And so, but but I also thinking it from the other side of like sometimes when you start to you become you're in a monogamous relationship or whatever. Sometimes you're like, okay, well, what's for us is for us, and then you being on OnlyFans, you showing your body, trying these toys. I feel like you're sharing parts of what I think are behind closed doors with the world. So that's just kind of where my line of thinking was, which is like I can kind of see it both ways, but I'm actually more on the side of if we're really for each other, then what I was already doing should not be something that you want me to stop. Like I was doing this, and especially like if it's something that you were already doing prior to you getting into a relationship with somebody, because like you knew like or like as long as you weren't hiding it, which we know that you wouldn't do.
Exactly.
So
you asked about this on the first date, like
exactly. So like where did I lose you on this whole wave?
Quick side. Does your family know that you have an OnlyFans or?
I think my little cousin know, but she's on social media. But as far as like my family, no, they're Jamaican. And it's just not going to be a conversation worth having.
Gotcha.
Like I can have the conversation. I don't care about having the conversation. It's just that I don't like having a conversation that's going to waste my time. I'm very, very, very big on time. Like that's the one thing I know for a fact I can never get back.
That's what I'm learning.
I make sure I use every second to whatever it's worth. I don't want to have a useless conversation and try to explain to you knowing that you're going to be stuck in your mindset at the end of the conversation.
True that. It's very Aquarian of you, by the way.
Also, yeah.
So, this is a relationship podcast. Mm-hmm. And so we would be remiss if we didn't ask a question or your advice, right? Based on people who are also in relationships. And that would really be like, okay, you have people who are dating, short-term, long-term, married, whatever. And sometimes, even in the best case scenarios, things become very like routine, monotonous. And so... Speaking
from experience?
At times.
Okay.
We've had those...
I'm just asking a question.
Those ebbs and flows.
We have.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And so the conversations around like exploring interests or seeing what else, you like or don't like, right? What advice would you maybe give a couple who want to improve upon their sexual openness, for lack of a better term, or how do they what advice would you give them if they wanted to explore like what advice would you give them to help them explore what they like or what they don't like, right? Because it is a little bit trial and error. Mm-hmm. So, like, what words?
I would say you gotta try, but everything about that is more mental than physical. Mm. So, and I say that to say, like, okay, let's say a couple wants to get into like using more sex toys or whatever the case may be. It's more about being open-minded to bringing in a sex toy, to like having a conversation about using the sex toy, than actually using the sex toy and feeling like, oh, this is pleasurable. Mm-hmm. Because it can be pleasurable to one or pleasurable to like the other, but in the back of their mind it's like, I may not be 100% comfortable with this, but I'm doing this because my partner wants to. Mm-hmm. So you have to like raise your open-mindedness, but you have to like lower your judgment. And of course, with all of that, you have to communicate and be 100% transparent and honest.
Yeah.
This pleasure isn't a space where, not that. Pleasure is a space where it's a very sensitive topic.
Yeah.
And I feel like people just think of sex like so frivolously, and I say that more so towards, I think, this is me personally talking, I think men more so think of sex like so much more frivolously that they don't realize that there's a more in-depth space that comes with your pleasure. And it's a lot more mental than physical in itself. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I say all that to say, you just have to like change your mindset on it. Even if you can't be more open to it, just change your mindset on it. Okay. So like, say for instance, earlier when we were talking about you having sex toys and him losing like his sex toy. When I said like, how do you feel about like having sex toys and with yourself or whatever the case may be, you may not be open to him using sex toy and may have made you feel away, but then when you change your mindset and think like, this isn't a replacement for you. It's just a different way of pleasure. And then that's another way like you can go about it. So, I mean, I can give 200,000 different tips on this, but at the end of the day, it's always going to come back to being open-minded, not being judgment, and being very open and honest with your communication.
Facts. I mean, which really, those three things can apply to pretty much any conversation. It doesn't even have to be rooted in sex. It just has to be like, open lines of communication and transparency, open-mindedness. Like, so that's true. And it's, and that's something that I feel like TJ and I have gotten better at over the last, over the years in general. But I think especially like maybe in the last couple of years, that's something that's been like a definite work in progress, but something that we've both gotten better at, having those conversations and being like, like receptive to what the other person is saying. And so I do feel like sometimes, like, I mean, even now, like TJ still definitely like has the higher sex drive than me, but it's so like sometimes he'll initiate the conversations more, but I'm more open to having the conversation and like talking through it and like being vocal about it, because there, and again, it also has to do sometimes with like bandwidth, right? So not even necessarily that I didn't want to talk about, it wasn't the topic, it was just like I don't got time to talk, period. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now that that's something that's gotten easier and we've gotten better at it, it's also like helped us improve. But I think that this is good for anyone to hear, because there's a lot of people who are like very much stuck in their ways, and they think like there's only very linear about these types of things, and it's really like, it doesn't have to be that way at all.
Wait, so I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, to piggyback off what you said about how it just like helps you become like a better person. It's like, exactly, that's it right there. When you understand someone and you communicate, and going back to like me talking about like male sex toys and stuff like that, an underlying reason why I wanted to do it is that if men are more comfortable with using sex toys, then they can understand why women use sex toys in themselves. So you're now understanding women's sexuality better, which then translates in you becoming a better partner. Because now you're not thinking about yourself, which is something that most men do. You're thinking about the other person, and then that translates in you being a better sex partner. It translates into you understanding why women may be sex workers, or why women use toys, or why women do whatever. And essentially now, instead of shaming sex workers or shaming women for trying new things, you're more open and understanding to it, and then essentially it all just trickles down into you becoming a better person.
This is true. Better people, better lovers.
Exactly.
I mean,
why you look at me like that?
Because
I feel like you was taking a shot.
It wasn't a shot.
All right.
It was like,
just make sure you put that on wax. Go ahead.
It wasn't a shot.
All right, cool.
I'm not you. You the one that take shots.
I don't be taking shots.
You
She should be looking at you like that because you threw away your
I didn't throw it away, Orlando. I did not throw it away. I did not throw it away.
I really think she did. And it's okay she did.
I
haven't had it in years, so it's like it is what it is. I'm loud. That's what happens. I haven't had it in years, so it's like out of sight, out of mind. But I do know the last time that I saw it, she was putting it away.
I really
It's in the attic, B. Check the attic.
Listen, I swear, like
She was like, I got it. I'm gonna put it away here, so it's discreet. Gone.
I really don't remember throwing it. I don't think I did.
Maybe it's in the dryer. You know how the dryer eats socks, and
okay,
maybe that happened.
Last question, because you're not gonna put this narrative on me.
We all know it. That's why you couldn't stop laughing as you were saying it. And that's why you're doing it now. You're blushing right now. It's cool. If you threw it away, you threw it away.
Because you know what?
Orlando's going to give us a code, product.
I'm feeling
attacked. I'm getting a new one.
I'm feeling attacked. You trying to put this narrative on me, and I reject it.
Cool. I love you.
I love you too.
All right, that's all that matters.
Can't
He's
stand.
gonna go buy one of everything.
Oh my gosh. All right. So, real talk though, this has been so informative and eye-opening, and even though we've revisited the past, even though I didn't throw it away.
Allegedly.
But anyway, so really though, what we also want to know though is just that, like, in your efforts to, spread sex positivity, to spread the gospel of like men being more comfortable utilizing sex toys and talking about with their sexual desires and interests, what is next for you? Like, you're this creative and you're doing all of these things and you're trying to make the best use of your time, right? Always and forever. So what is, share with our listeners, like, what's on the horizon for Orlando and what are the things that you're working on and looking forward to?
Wow, that's actually a hard question because being a creative isn't something that this is going to be a loaded answer. Okay. It's not something that I necessarily care about. Okay. I am just so ambitious that when I started being a creative, I gave it my all. That's just naturally because that's how I am. I do this for fun, but also I realize the impact that I'm having with people. So that kind of drives me to go further. And that is where I kind of take it a bit more seriously. It's just the ambition and the impact. But necessarily being a creative is just something that I would see all these creatives and all these people in media, and I'll look and I'll be like, I could come up with a better show than that. I can do that better. I thought about that idea before, but just never cared to do it. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm going to try this out. How long can I take? Maybe 3 years. I think I'm on year probably 2.5. Okay. But that's 2.5 of me just like starting from raw, starting from like nowhere, just starting from like the connections that I know just from people. Okay. Now I have hard or soft. This is something I truly believe in. And I feel like this is now the new start. This is now like my new 3-year goal. So that's the next step. Next step is getting this podcast. Excuse me. This next step is getting this podcast as far as it can go. Because I see the impact. And there's so many people that listen to our podcast and then listen to like similar podcasts that would be kind of like ours, and they're like, yo, y'all are different. We're literally the only ones in our lane. And yeah, there could be men talking about like sex or whatever, but it's not as simple as, oh yeah, I fucked her, that shit was great, her pussy was great. It's like, no, you have me as like, yeah, we had sex, but what made it different was because we were outside under the specific tree, and I thought about this one time when I was sitting under the tree, and I just had like these amazing memories, and then that translated into me getting harder, which then she came, and now we had this great experience, and now we have this special bond with me, her, and this tree. Like, that's how far and in depth like I was going, and that's just like an example off the top of my head. Yeah. But that's just like how we speak on the show. And then after that, we have so many like educational moments where we had a guest on and she brought her boyfriend, and he was telling us how you have to make sure you're fit because it translates into your sex drive, because your blood flows to your organs. When you're having sex, you're exerting so much energy, and if you're unhealthy, your blood is going to flow more to your organs to keep you going, which is going to take away from the blood in your penis, which then can translate into like erectile dysfunction or not staying hard or not getting hard again. And then we have Zeus, who's a very well-known personal trainer, and then we bring him on, and he's telling us like all these other things about health and fitness and how it translates to sex and how it's good for you. But then the flip side of that is, yeah, we'll have this educational experience and all these in-depth conversations, but we are hilarious.
Listen, we know Tahoe well.
Hilarious. Be and townhouse
Yeah.
dynamic is hilarious.
I'm like, yeah. But you know what what I love and appreciate about it is that there's it is different because it does create a space and a forum for conversations that probably aren't really happening this publicly. And I think that that's so important. And that's honestly, like, when you're talking about lanes and stuff like that, that's why we always like to have guests on, because, you know, one thing that TJ and I offer every time we record is, like, you know, we have our perspectives based off of our experiences, but we are, you know, we always come into the conversation knowing that it's a limited scope, that we're coming from like, we're high school sweethearts, we're each other's only sexual partner. So, you know, we have this limited scope, right? We could talk about the things we know and we've explored and we've discussed and everything else, but there's so many other dynamics and things, like, from your sexual, like, that impact relationships, from the line of work that you're in, to the life that you live, to your upbringing, to your sexuality, to anything, and, you know, runs the gamut. And it still comes down to, it's like, you know, everybody has these relationships, but the factors that make you impact your relationships, and all types of relationships. And that's why we love having guests like you on, because now the people that listen to this show can hear from somebody other than us, because we wouldn't be able to speak to these things. So that's why we want to have other people do so, because there's, you know, you want to talk about having a 3-year-old daughter, we can talk about that till the cows come home, because we got experience. But we know that, like, we don't have experience in everything else. So that's why
I would have had experience with sex toys, but you threw mine out. But that's another story for another day.
I'm done. You know what? We gonna wrap this sucker up, because I'm about to fight him, because he's not gonna put this narrative out here.
just to end what I was saying, is just we give you the entertainment, we give you the education, we go in depth, and then with me, just like trying to be creative, and I love being different. Like, even our format is different. So we come in, we don't do an introduction, we just have a conversation. Just talk to our guest talk, and then you don't find out who the guest is until the middle of the episode. And that's when we go through an outline. And then that portion is called, like, the foreplay. So that's us warming up and getting into it. And then we talk about the hard. So that's when men are hard, and, you know, we're talking about what we like and stuff like that. And then after you're hard, you get soft. But the soft part is the things that men don't like, the taboo conversations and stuff like that. And then we just have a portion where we give advice. That's just a tip. And then we have a he-mail, and that's when we read off these emails and stuff. So everything is centered around men and their sexuality, but it's helpful to everyone. The men become more comfortable. The women get an insight on how we think. It's a bananas podcast. There's so many levels. Like, we're literally an onion in Shrek. Like, we have so many layers. So that's what I was saying about how when we get these reviews from other people, like, they're listening to us and they're like, this is different. It's a sex podcast, yes, but with all those layers added in. And I'm a stickler for, like, just like the smallest detail. So when we add all those things, then you have two co-hosts that are generally friends and work well together and sound together on a mic. Whew.
Start us off.
Chef's Kiss. I think that's the episode title. Chef's Kiss. I think that I'm calling it now. Listen.
It's either that or you threw away my sex toy.
You know what?
So Chef's Kiss is what's gonna win, because she's not gonna take ownership for what
I'm gonna
put
it in the blurb. I'm gonna put it in our description and be like,
about how you threw away my sex toy.
No, I'm gonna talk about how I'm being wrongfully accused.
I don't think you're being wrongfully accused. Where is it at?
You tell me, it's your problem.
You had it at. Anyway, you know what? Listen,
Orlando, thank
you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Orlando Roye.
Congratulations on the weight loss and the fitness stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, we are celebrating that, and on our journey, that's one of the best decisions we ever made. I always say, but as far as like surgeries and things are concerned, that you don't necessarily have to do.
Elective surgeries.
Elective, yes. This and LASIK, Chef's Kiss.
Oh, Chef's Kiss.
Best thing.
Also, the very last Chef's Kiss is y'all being like our only partners. Like, being that rare, I love it.
Thank you.
As a person that doesn't mind having multiple sex partners, seeing y'all just have that dynamic, and then high school sweetheart, only partners, 2 houses, a kid, the little dog, and then like it doesn't happen. And I mean, of course, I don't know anybody else like that, but I feel like it just doesn't happen. So to actually come across somebody like or a couple that's so different, it's amazing to see. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Listen. We this is our little lane that we live in, but we're happy. That's why we're glad to like talk about it, share about it, because we exist and we ain't perfect. We just
not perfect at all.
We just doing what we do the best
One thing
we know
we always
how.
say, like, you know, being married it's not a job, but it takes work, right? And you know,
lot of work.
A lot of people hear our story, they're like, "Oh my God, that's what I want," and it's like you can want that. It's nothing wrong with wanting that, but just understand that it's not like from the outside looking in, it looks like the most amazing thing, right? But understand that this is work, and we know we have days where we love each other, and then we have days where we hate each other. Not hate each other to the point that we don't love each other, but like we just don't want to bang with each other.
We don't fuck with each other right now.
I just don't like you today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, but we work at it, right? And who I am now compared to who I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago is a major thing. And you know,
Growth.
We've grown with each other, and we've learned and been able to understand each other and understand what she likes versus what I like, and being able to again communicate. That's the most important thing. We've been fortunate enough to learn each other that we can have the conversations, even the uneasy conversations or the unsure conversations we can have because we understand the bigger picture, right? And I think that's the most important thing. So
yeah, that's something that I always try to tell people. Like, relationships are work, but it doesn't mean that it has to be hard. Like, people go to their job and enjoy their job. Like, you can still enjoy work.
Yeah.
Like, it's always going to be work. That doesn't mean you have to hate it.
And just because like anything that you're working, it just like it's like because it requires effort. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining us. Can you let our listeners know when and where and how they can find you?
Oh yeah. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Dear Orlando Roye. That's DearOrlando ROYE. Hard or Soft Pod on Instagram or Twitter. And OnlyFans.com/Dear Orlando Roye.
Well, there you go, folks. You gotta listen. He's giving out A1 premium content over there, so make sure you check it out, folks. As far as this little podcast,
I'll let you subscribe.
Oh, thank you.
You get a month.
That would be my first one. I've never subscribed to any OnlyFans. But as far as us, like I said, the little podcast that could, Lovers Quarrel, you know that you can find us on Instagram at Lovers Quarrel Show. You can find us on Twitter at Lovers Quarrel 7. And you can email us your questions, concerns, comments, feedback, headaches, heartaches at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. We will be looking in our DMs for our promo code. Thank you in advance. And as always, I am your girl, Dani.
And I'm your guy, TJ.
And you know that we fuss.
We fight, but we love. Bye.
I didn't throw it away. Don't look at me
definitely
like
threw it away. Yo, she definitely threw it away. She's not going to admit to it, but she definitely threw it away. And it's cool.
I'm done.
It's cool we threw it away. I have no problem with it.
We're going to rectify the situation.
Exactly. And now the show is over.
That's why she said exactly, because she knew that she threw it away.
No, we're just... At this point, I am guilty until proven innocent, and it is what it is.
All right. Well, take your sentence because you know that you did it.
I didn't do it.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.